YouTube, it's Charlie from Reader Turned Writer, and today I am sharing all of the books that I read in August 2020. I had a fairly good reading month. I had a lot of really high star reads, and I'm really excited to show them to you in my bullet page, so I'll jump on over and get right into them. I want to start with my 3 favorite books of the month. They were A Shadow Falls by Gerald Lund, Miss Spitfire by Sarah Miller, and Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. Those were all fantastic reads that I really enjoyed and made the top of my list. Now I will just jump into the books in the order that I read them in. I started off the month with a thriller, Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson, and I rated this 5 stars. This follows a woman who has a unique form of short-term memory loss. She wakes up every day not remembering her recent past. Sometimes her memory goes as far back as college, other times clear back to her childhood, but she doesn't remember her recent past, including the day before. She has people that are there to help her, but she knows that they are keeping things from her, and she is trying to figure out what is going on. I loved this. I was really in the mood for a fast-paced thriller, and this hit the spot exactly. It had a good mystery, a main character I really sympathized with, and a fairly good plot twist. The ending didn't blow me away, but it didn't fall flat either. There is quite a bit of swearing and some sexual content in it. Next I read Snape, a definitive reading by Lorrie Kim, and I rated this 5 stars as well. This is an analysis of Snape's character throughout the Harry Potter series. It was just as good and interesting as it sounds. I would highly recommend it if you are a Harry Potter fan. I can honestly say I will never read the books the same way again. The next book I read was The Vine Witch by Luanne G. Smith, and I rated this 4 stars. A vine witch at Chateau Renard awakens from a curse to find her world turned upside down, not only by a dashing gentleman, but also by a mysterious, powerful witch who is up to no good. I really enjoyed this one, which surprised me since I'm not normally a big witch person and I have very little interest in wine. I had it on my Kindle as a free book that I got once, but I actually ended up really liking it. I loved the romance, the mystery, and the magic that were woven throughout the book, and the tension was very well done all throughout the book. I also finished The Valley of Fear by Arthur Conan Doyle, and I rated it 4 stars. This was the final Sherlock Holmes novel I had to read, and I now have 2 short story collections left before I'll have read all the Sherlock Holmes novels and short stories. The novel was fun, though it had the structure that I don't love, where the first half is Sherlock solving the mystery, and then the second half is backstory that I only vaguely care about the criminal that he catches. This time it wasn't quite as bad because there was a great plot twist at the end, so it felt more worth it to read the whole backstory. And then I read Miss Spitfire by Sarah Miller, and I rated this 5 stars. I actually read this in one morning. It is a historical fiction about Anne Sullivan, the teacher of Helen Keller. I have enjoyed Sarah Miller's books in the past, and I've always been fascinated with Helen Keller's story. I loved learning more about Anne Sullivan and seeing Helen's journey through her eyes. It was a beautiful, fast read, and I will just warn you, it is more of a juvenile. I don't know if I would call it middle grade, but it's definitely aimed at a younger audience. I still found it very enjoyable, but just so you know, going into it. Up to this point, I had only really great reads that I really loved, but then I read The Writer's Reign by Jessica Day George, and I rated it 3 stars, so I still liked it, just didn't love it. This is the final book in a middle grade trilogy revolving around magic and horses. I am not a huge horse person, and this series was just okay for me, including this book. The writing felt weak to me in places, and the middle book was really hard for me to get through. I am going to keep the series around though because my 6-year-old loves horses, and I think she'll love this series in a couple years. My main audiobook for the month was Mansfield Park by Jane Austen, and I rated it 4 stars. I always love Jane Austen. This one was harder for me to get into, mainly because of Fanny's character. I love the way that we see her strengths later on in the book though, and the second 2/3 of the book captivated me. The other part I didn't love was the romance. I wish we had seen more inclination from Edmund towards Fanny before the very end of the book, where it felt very rushed and kind of like it happened off stage for him to fall in love with her. Other than that though, I really enjoyed the book and it was very interesting. My reread for the month was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I rated this 4 stars. I remember reading this in middle school and actually liking it then. even though I read it for school. And this time around, I still enjoyed it. It's not my favorite classic, but I do find the ideas within interesting, and I think they're important to consider. And I also like Ray Bradbury's writing style 90% of the time. And then I had my biggest disappointment of the month, and that was Story Genius by Lisa Cron, and I rated this 2 stars. This is a writing craft book that talks about kind of the meaning behind what you're writing, and I went into it with very high expectations. I'd heard a lot of people who really loved it, and I didn't. I'm going to do a whole review video next month going into more detail as to why I didn't love this one, but for now I will just say that while there were a few insights I found useful, the ideas were not new to me, and the way that they were presented had a lot of problems. And then I read Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name, and I rated it 4 stars. To me, this felt like A Wrinkle in Time meets Alice in Wonderland. It had a very whimsical plot and writing style, and the main character is on a quest to find her father who mysteriously disappeared years ago. It was an interesting and quick read for me, though I did skim many descriptions because some of them went on and on and on, and I'm not really a description person, especially with flowery writing. And I was a little disappointed with the ending. It was very predictable, a little bland, and felt rushed. However, it did keep my interest the whole time, and I did end up enjoying it for the most part. My comic book read of the month was X-Men Days of Future Past, and I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed the 2 comics in this collection that were actually Days of Future Past. They had a lot of tension and I really cared about the characters. The rest of the collection was just okay to me, except for the first, which was terrible. And I think they should have admitted it. I almost stopped reading the entire collection because of it, because it's literally just let me tell you all of the past of Cyclops in the X-Men in a very telly way, and it was boring. But the rest of it was okay, and the Days of Future Past, those 2 editions, I thought were very excellent. My final read was a fantastic read. It was The Shadow Falls by Gerald Lund, and I rated it 5 stars. This is the 3rd in a historical fiction spanning the 2 world wars. This one focuses on Hitler's rise to power, which I found really fascinating. There is a section in the middle of the book that focuses on a family in America, and I felt it really slowed down the pacing. I didn't care about the family because their lives were only vaguely connected to the German one that we were following, and honestly, not a lot of interesting things happened to them. Other than that section though, I was riveted throughout the entire book and I can't wait to pick up the next one. I felt that overall I had a fantastic reading month. I had a lot of really good reads, even though I had a few not so good ones sprinkled throughout, but I was really happy with it overall. Now I want you to tell me what books you read in August, or just pick a couple of your favorites and drop them in the comments below. I will probably add them to my TBR if I haven't read them yet, and I really love to hear about your reading life. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for lots of writing content. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you in the next one.